Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
We want to focus on the things that have made us good all year long, an intensity that they can't match. And the other thing is the ultimate disrespect is when somebody takes what's yours. And this is our game, so that makes it personal. Dominate on three. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
I need 60 minutes. 60 minutes to me. 60 minutes. No business, no mercy. Nothing but stop bubble. You got me. We're going to ring the bell. We're going to ring that championship bell. Ding, motherfucking dog.
The Orange Bowl is on Mitch Jeter's leg. Good snap, good hold, kick on its way, and the kick is good! Yes! Mitch Jeter, with 7 seconds left, gives the Irish a lead, 27-24. Notre Dame is on the precipice.
Notre Dame has won the Orange Bowl.
3rd and 16. Mahomes roll it out. Looking, firing, intercepted. Picked up by Cooper DeJean. Gets a block. DeJean is in. Touchdown.
The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
You are looking live.
Happy New Year. You are looking live. Huddle Up Podcast, January the 6th, 2026. And we are glad to be back with you for another one. We hope that you are well and are with us here in the new year and following along with us all year long at Huddle Up Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitter. You can get us on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. You can also get us on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. Also, you can go ahead and scan the QR code top right corner of your screen. That will get you to our link tree, which will have everything Huddle Up related right there in one spot for you. It's also in our social media, all of the channels there, as well as the episode description, YouTube as well. So appreciate that. You can also get your merchandise over on our TeePublic store. See a few of the options there, and we have some new options on the site. If you go over and pop there, you can scan the QR code now, top right corner. That'll take you directly to the store. May have some sales coming up. TeePublic regular sales over there on the sites. Make sure you check that out. Devin checking out with us in the comments. What's going on, Devin? Glad to see you back here with us in the new year.
Yo, Devin.
Appreciate it, buddy, and hope you had a nice new year yourself, as we did, and we are back and we are here. So far, just me and Sean. I think EJ may crash by, not sure, but if not, the brothers, as we've been holding down the fort all year long. Sean, how are you?
Well, doing all right. Football standpoint, kind of a, I don't want to say meaningless weekend of football for me, but in the grand scheme of things, I suppose. But yeah, otherwise, back to the grind, back in the classroom. The 8th graders are just as annoying. Maybe more so, because now they definitely don't want to do anything. So
I was going to say it's that post Christmas chaos.
Yeah, we're going into day 3. We're still working on the lesson plan from day 1, so we'll get there. So that's kind of where we're at. But otherwise, yeah, we're still here, 2026. How about that?
Hey, well, you still have a job, and that is unlike John Harbaugh in Baltimore. Officially, as of this afternoon, the Ravens and John Harbaugh no longer in business with each other. Harbaugh let go after 18 seasons a record of 180 and 113 in those 18 years. Only 6 seasons did they miss the playoffs. Of course, the one Super Bowl championship, 13 and 11 in the postseason. But ultimately, this year was the end. And some reports coming out that his unwillingness to part ways with offensive coordinator Todd Monken may have been the breaking point. And also, as quickly as it came down, he didn't even get to address his staff. A staff member, a senior staff member in the front office addressed the staff as it went down that quickly. So a little bit of a surprise. But Sean, your thoughts on Harbaugh being out in Baltimore?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say I predicted it necessarily this way, but when injuries or not, there was a lack of depth, I think, in some of the positions we hadn't seen before, and obviously, you're not going to see Lamar Jackson's next step as a quarterback as long as he's not on the field. And it just kind of felt lackluster there for a while. Like, hey, everybody's hurt. It's okay if we lose. And it didn't feel like anybody was really taking the reins and really kind of pushing as a leader. And I feel like it didn't feel quite as bad as what we had seen in Miami early in the season, where like there was literally no push whatsoever. But it seemed listless. And then the big push back. And I kind of said, if they don't find a way to the playoffs, I didn't think there was really a chance for them, and so it didn't surprise me quite as much as it seems to have surprised some people. But the good news for him is there are vacancies. If he wants to coach, there's some decent looking jobs out there. At least when you have this many teams unloading coaches. A lot of times it's just all bad situations, and I think there's a couple with some real positive upsides that might be appealing to him.
Yeah, and there's some that potentially not even open yet. Of course, Devin upset the Dolphins losing to the Patriots to end the year, but Mike McDaniel still employed, at least as of showtime this evening. A little bit surprising.
That might be more surprising. Yeah, and not just that he has a job, but that the reports are that they're basically letting him help with the GM hiring, meaning that they want to fit, like they're almost catering to him. I don't know. Maybe it'll be typical Dolphins fashion. They'll surprise us. He'll pick the general manager who will justly fire him.
Will then just turn around and fire him,
which would be absolutely amazing.
Would be hilarious. I know Devin would enjoy it. Jason joining us in the comments saying, breaking news, Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh sent to the Miami Dolphins. First off,
they got Tyreek Hill. That's what they got.
Mike Daniels still with the job. Also, I don't know with what money the Dolphins are paying Lamar Jackson, because they are already dramatically over the cap. So a lot of work to be done for Miami in a lot of different ways to close out the year. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's a weird thing. Like, I was surprised that the Ravens pulled the trigger, as was a couple of friends of mine who are huge Ravens fans, only because like the ownership in Baltimore, the Biscotti family, they're huge. They are like really close with John Harbaugh and his family. So the breakdown and it happening the way it did and as quickly as it did, like I thought for sure when they got through yesterday, it's like, oh, they're just going to bring him back. That seems like the thing that's just going to happen. But yeah, it happened real quick, and it was surprising, but I think it was also a little bit overdue. Similar to the guy who still has a job and is playing in the postseason this weekend in Pittsburgh. I think those are two coaches. I call it kind of the Andy Reid effect in Philadelphia. They're just hit a point where like it's time. It doesn't matter how much you've done for us. We're not getting any better. We're not going anywhere with this current regime, and it's got to go.
Right, it's almost like it's stuck. Like you get to a point and the ropes won't stretch any farther. Like where with Andy Reid, it just almost felt like the pressure of winning for the city of Philadelphia was like each year he got to that point, the pressure like mounted even further. And like it was almost like it was in his head. And I don't think it was a shot at him. And I don't think this is a shot at Harbaugh's ability to coach a football team.
No,
it's just like where they're at. They're like, look, man, like the division's in flux. You got a Browns team that maybe could rise. I mean, they've shown some promise, at least defensively. The Bengals always are a threat, at least with that offense.
If you can get healthy, yeah, like
you can't start fading into oblivion. You can't let that happen. So not a super major surprise, and maybe the wait till Tuesday was a little bit of everything we've kind of just talked about, where it's, there is some respect there. There was a surge, almost a playoff run. Maybe it was like, look, man, we were ready to let you go, but like maybe we can work to a middle ground here, where like we're going to take some of the control back. We want some other pieces in place some places. And when he wasn't able to budge and they weren't able to agree to, maybe they just gave him 24 hours of like mediating maybe, and they just couldn't find anything to work. So who knows what it was, but yeah.
Yeah, and the thing we'll kind of watch as we get into the off season, post Super Bowl and we get into our off season mode is the potential for the future of Lamar Jackson. With a new regime in Baltimore, there could be a possibility that you want to start elsewhere. Certainly would be a great foundation, but you never know in the NFL. Couple of quick questions here from Jason before we jump into the best of the week. Do you think Burrow will stay with the Bengals? If not, what's his best position? I think with the retention,
quarterback's probably still his best position. I would say
probably, yeah. I think
probably still not real built for a tight end.
No, especially with his injury history. I think
not real great.
Playing it safe back there. No, I think especially with the coaching staff staying, head coach being brought back in Cincinnati, I think Burrow remains.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like he's a free agent. You know what I mean? I mean it's not like he signed that big deal. The guys around him signed a big deal. Now, if the new regime comes in and doesn't, if there's no new regime on defense, if we don't start stocking that up, it could get real frustrating still. But I think you kind of knew that when you saw all the offensive guys. But yeah, I don't see Joe going, at least not this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of continues, if he starts kind of pushing that like I'd like to go somewhere button before the contract ends.
Jason, no need for the insults in the comments, but is Mike Tomlin on a hot seat this week? Possibly he gets fired. Harbaugh could be the next coach of Pittsburgh. Look, if you ask me, Mike Tomlin should have been on the hot seat for the last 3 seasons. So to definitively say if he's on a hot seat in Pittsburgh, you never know. Pittsburgh isn't a team that makes a lot of head coaching changes. So another winning season and getting to the playoffs may be enough to keep his job. I guess it could also depend how embarrassing a loss this upcoming weekend against Houston at home could be. So I think it's been a couple of seasons overdue for Tomlin to be gone, but certainly will remain to be seen. If he does get fired, personally, I don't think John Harbaugh stays in division.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I've been on the anti-Mike Tomlin train for a while, so I obviously am all about the idea that like he's very fireable. That I don't see there's not a true spark on those teams. The defenses has looked good. I haven't seen anything that makes them like excel. Like the teams the Pittsburgh's had that won Super Bowls were just miles ahead of most other teams in the league when they won. And this team has not been anywhere close for a very long time. So do I think he should be? Yeah, I think if you're on that in Pittsburgh and you're on that mindset, that missed kick was probably the worst thing that could have happened for you. I feel like if it was just a one game over 500, if it was, you just backed yourself out of the playoffs on a 2-game skid, that's not going to look good. And there's a good chance maybe he's the one out and not Harbaugh. But I don't think they bail on him this year. I don't think there's a candidate that you're going to like necessarily more than him. Jason, to your credit, I was waiting for this question because both these teams, when you brought up the Steelers, I knew what you meant when you said what position that you meant, what team would Joe Burrow go to. If he's going to one, ironically, I think Pittsburgh would be a tremendous fit. But I think until
you should have warned Mike. Mike, you should have earmuffed it there, bud.
Yeah. It's just one of those where, like, if he were to go somewhere, there's two teams in the division, them and the Browns, that don't have a true QB trajectory right now. Aaron Rodgers is a short-term patch. Nobody really knows if Shador's the quarterback of the future. I think until those teams have some sort of plan in place, at least on paper, from what it looks like, I don't think the Bengals will let Joe Burrow go anywhere, because I think there is a big fear that he would end up in the division. But yeah, I think both those questions, both guys should still be there, I think, at the start of the 26th season.
All right, let's jump in now to the way we typically start the show.
Let's do it. Eek.
Everybody's getting back online to start the
Best
new year.
Of the Eek.
As we get underway, we look back at the week that was, and we look at the best thing in the world of football or sports, if you want to go that route. Sean, what was your best of the week this week?
Well, you would think it would be a very easy thing to find in a week where multiple teams cash tickets to the postseason and some teams lock down a number one seed. And man, there really wasn't a lot out there, at least from a team perspective. You got to dig into the individuals. Would like to give an honorary best of the week to the fans of the Buffalo Bills, who not only got the opportunity to shovel out the stadium one more time, but also to witness an absolute shellacking of a shadow franchise in the New York Jets. So good on you, Buffalo, for that. I guess as far the goddamn Jets, I guess as far as like an individual performance, I'm going to lean into a team that I praised for many weeks at the start of this year. I'm going to lean into the Indianapolis Colts, and some people are going to go, well, Sean, they lost their last game. They did, but one young man had himself a pretty good day in his first start in the NFL. Riley Leonard, in a game where Houston wanted to win, kind of needed to win to hold some ground, and shut down the running game almost entirely. They kind of needed to hang it on Riley Leonard's shoulders, and he did a pretty impressive job. 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, another touchdown on the ground, on 21 yards rushing. Fell a little bit short. Houston wound up winning it in the end, but a pretty strong effort from the young fella out of Notre Dame. So good on you. Is he a backup quarterback next year? Is he on a trajectory to start in the NFL? Who knows? But you're in the books now, and it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, to piggyback on your honorable mention, the red helmets for the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, man.
How is it taking them this long to bring those back out? Those should be their permanent, just absolute fantastic look for Buffalo. They should really rethink their primary helmet color. Devin said his best of the week, and Ohio State losing. Yeah, we'll certainly talk about the team that beat them coming up here in a little bit. A little bit surprising, at least where we sit. But makes it a little bit more frustrating for some of us than others to see a certain team advancing. But we'll talk about that here coming up. An honorable mention for me, I kind of touched on them a little bit last week, but the Minnesota Vikings, man, team that really looked kind of dead and gone and out of it, winning their final 5 games. And the board tonight is all sorts of problematic. Winning their final 5 games of the season to finish 9-8 on the year. So well done to you, Minnesota. But my true best of the week this week, and I move outside of the world of football. I think this is the first time I've actually done this. But 81,796 is the number of stuffed animals collected by the Hershey Bears. Their teddy bear toss this weekend goes to a bunch of different charities in the Hershey and central Pennsylvania area. So it didn't quite match up the 6-figure 100,000 plus record that they set a year ago, but still an impressive feat. Their second highest total to date. So well done to the people of Hershey and central PA for giving back here to start off the year.
Yeah, I mean, what a showing. Always a fun time every year. Did I see in that Minnesota game that J.J. McCarthy hurt himself again?
He did. I think he said he has a couple of fractures in his hand, but does not need surgery.
Yikes. Okay.
So not great there. A lot of injuries for
soon,
JJ. Yeah, you have a long off season to heal up. So go make faces in the mirror or whatever you got to do.
Whatever it takes, man.
Jason says his best of the week was sitting the Eagles to be a 3rd seed to face the 4th string 49ers defense. Yeah, certainly we'll talk about that game coming up here as well. The some teams limping into the postseason for sure, but we will talk about that coming up here a little bit later. But Sean, it is time. Only 4 teams left in the world of college football. And we are going to talk about them. The college football playoff semifinals are upon us. Gators winning the Natty in what? Fencing?
Women's volleyball?
Women's volleyball? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? All right, let's talk about it.
The kids are on the pod. They're on it now.
It's on. It's happened. We're here.
I told you they don't want to learn anything. They don't. They just focus on what they want to focus on. It is what it is. It is what it is. But
thanks for everybody tuning in. As always, so we have the team with Mendoza is winning. Well, that's a better guess than the Gators. But we will start not with that team. We will start with the other ones. Of course, all of these games still on the 4-letter network of ESPN that is doing the Lord's work in bringing us football as only they can. But we start the Fiesta Bowl Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern time. It is number 10 Miami, our old pals. Miami! They are 12-2 on the year, a 3.5-point favorite against number 6 Ole Miss, who is 13-1. Sean, your over/under in this one is 51.5.
Man, I mean, I guess the good news is none of the SEC teams that you normally would see can get in. So that's the good news. The bad news is this Miami team is just still lurking there. And to their credit, they're finally playing to the level that I thought they might when I had them going ridiculously far as the ACC champions. And I guess what a time to get hot. You know, I find it real hard to pick against them. I want to pick them just because I've picked against them twice, and I just can't do it. What I saw out of Ole Miss, and like kind of an inspired performance against a Georgia team that may not have the pass rush Miami has, but it is not a slouch of a pass rush. I thought Ole Miss played a fast game. I thought they played a controlled game. I think this is going to be a close one. And because of that, I'm going to take Ole Miss in those 3.5 points. And as far as a 51-point, no, I'm going to go just under. I mean, normally in a game of this magnitude, with some of the speed that these teams have, I would say easy over. But I think both defenses are just good enough to hold this thing under 51 points.
Yeah, you know, like I think my biggest takeaway of the quarterfinal round, which I also didn't watch, is we've questioned Ohio State all year. Throughout the season, it was, look, is Ohio State even really that good? Like, I defended them as being ranked number 1 because they're the defending national champion and they hadn't lost. But they hadn't lost because they hadn't played anybody. They hadn't been tested. Like, even Texas, and Texas fans are probably going to get mad at me when I say this, but you weren't good all year. So, like, the reality is, like, you weren't tested all year. You had a point early in a game against a just kind of wayward Michigan team that you probably could have ended up losing. And so Miami getting the win, impressive. I'm not trying to take anything away from Miami, but Miami, I think, has shown they're the tougher team in the trenches, and Ohio State just didn't have that. And Ole Miss, like, they just came out and they punched the SEC champ right in the mouth, and weren't afraid of him. So, and I think you're seeing a team in real time look at, you know, their former head coach who bailed for money, now trying to take back his offer to let coaches stay there and this and that. I think you're watching an Ole Miss team get really galvanized. And they're a super talented team that's probably really dangerous at this point. So I think for those that'll be watching, it'll be a really good game. But again, I think at some point the bubble's going to burst for Miami. And there's a reason that they lost to 2 unranked teams in the month of October. Let's not forget that. That's this same team, regardless of what they're doing now. So give me Ole Miss to cover. And I'm also taking the under. These defenses are both really, really good. They'll disrupt things at the line, and we're not going to see outrageous point totals. Jason has Miami and the under. Devin has Ole Miss and the over. He says Michael Irvin might. Jason says Michael Irvin might suit up in disguise if they are down. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you would recognize a coked up 55-year-old taking the field for the Hurricanes. All right, moving on to the Peach Bowl. It is Friday, 7:30 Eastern time. Number 5 Oregon. They are 13-1, taking on the number 1 team in the country, Indiana, 14-0, longest winning streak in the country. If you're watching Sean and I, you can probably guess who has the second longest winning streak in the country. The team that didn't get to play here, but that's another story. 4-point favorite are the Hoosiers in this one. 46.5 is your over-under.
Well, I'll say this. Despite everything that the four-letter network that's quickly become a four-letter word on this podcast, they've set themselves up with 2 really good games. I don't think it's the games they wanted. I don't think it's the games that they were that they set up to see, nor is it the conferences represented that they were hoping to see. But this should be one heck of a game. Both offenses are going to cook in this one. I'm going to take the over at 46.5, despite the fact that I think what's going to eventually win this for Indiana is the defensive side of the ball. I think both teams have the firepower to fight through good defenses. I just think the defense is a little stronger on Indiana's side, and I think that they're gonna do just enough to maybe win a couple late possessions and win this thing by about a touchdown. So I'll take Indiana with the 4 points, and I will take the over.
Jason, I'm not sure that I follow your comment here. You said Miami only gave up 3 points to Texas A&M and only 13 to Ohio State. So I mean, let's evaluate though. Texas A&M, only scored 17 against Texas to close out the year. Only they were a team whose offense started to fall apart. Ohio State only scored 10 against Indiana, 27 against Michigan. So it's not like, yes, Miami's defense.
Yeah, Ohio State they weren't barn burning good competition. No,
nobody's hiding that Miami has a good defense, bud. That's why we both picked the under. Old Mitch, I think, is better than Texas A&M. Point proven, they were ranked higher. And Ohio State turned out to be kind of a house of cards. So we picked the under. We're giving credit to Miami's defense. I don't understand why you're
well on that pass rush, man. I wouldn't want to be on the offensive line for whoever's in front of that.
All right, looking at this game though, look, this is nothing against Oregon and Dan Lanning. This team is really, really good, but Indiana's better. And when you're seeing what they're doing currently in the new transfer portal is similar to what they did with this one. They are going out and they're putting the best players in the best positions and the key positions to win these games, and that's exactly what we're getting out of the Indiana Hoosiers. And that's the reality of what this game is going to be. I think they're going to get at the Oregon offense. I think they're going to keep the score down. Look, they held the arguably the best receiver in college football to 10 points in that offense with the Buckeyes. So similar to what you're going to see in the Fiesta Bowl, you're going to see that with the Hoosiers and their defense. So this thing is going under. Indiana is going to win. They're going to advance with their 15th win of the season and move on to the national championship. But when I think what you're seeing is Indiana is kind of, reshuffling the deck a bit in the world of college football, and they're not out recruiting because they have a better school. They're out recruiting because what people don't realize is Indiana has a ton of money and a lot of key people in their boosters and whatnot. And we're a couple days into the transfer portal, and some fan bases are panicking, but I think just let things play out, and it'll be just fine. It'll be just fine. But games get underway on Thursday. You think that's weird? Like, I know they're avoiding the trouble of trying to compete with the NFL on the weekend, but do you like or hate that the college games are during the week?
Well, I think it's I don't know. I think it's kind of poor of the NFL too. Like on I get the playoff as a multi-week thing, so that's obviously changed everything. I mean, America, for the most part, has shown that they'll watch good sports any night of the week and give you the ratings. I don't know that Thursday and Friday games are necessarily a bad thing. If anything, it just gives the world more football to watch. I find it kind of, I mean, you couldn't just do like all Sunday and Monday game. Like, I don't know if you're the NFL. Like, just, I don't really understand. I know there's a lot of games to play. Everybody's got extra games. So I imagine there's probably not that many better ways to do it, but
probably not. Yeah, maybe like Friday, Saturday for college football, Sunday, Monday for the NFL. I guess some people hate the Monday night playoff game for the NFL anyway, so maybe that's not the answer. I don't know what the answer.
It really only comes into play this particular week. So
yeah,
we shall see.
Because college then will go to Monday for the final. And then they'll be done. NFL will reign supreme. But let's talk about the NFL and their playoff picture. We'll certainly talk about the games themselves, Sean, coming up in a little bit. But first, like the Ravens Steelers situation, the craziness to end that game and ultimately, I guess, and Harbaugh's time there. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't a ton going into the weekend for movement's sake. But actually, because I know obviously this is close to home for you. There's been a lot of reactions to the decision of the Eagles to sit their starters, and because the Bears lost to the Lions, the Eagles could have grabbed that number 2 spot had they beaten Washington. But they opt to bench their starters. They end up losing that game. How do you feel about the decision for the Eagles to just play it safe on Week 18?
I mean, at first glance, I was very much against it, and it's not so much a move up the seedings argument because you still don't know who you play. You could start your starters, win your game, and the Bears not lose, right? Like, I mean, that could happen, and you've now wasted that game of rest. But the reason is just because of how poor it looked in the second half of that monsoon in Buffalo, and how inconsistent things have looked. Even if it was just for a few series, you already wanted Devontae Smith to get his 1,000 yards, and just something to show me that, like, we can click for a couple drives and then get off the field. I guess, in hindsight and afterwards, I had a chance to kind of sit and think about that. I'm like, what if you suit up and it looks bad? And all of a sudden you're like, now against Washington, should it? No. But I mean, I guess you get to see some reps from your depth guys, and you get to kind of see going into the playoffs who you trust, who you don't. Obviously in the defensive backfield, we don't.
Who do you trust?
Good Lord. What a mess that tandem on the outside on defense looked like. Jeez. But the fact that everybody seems rested and, hearing what the coaches were saying, I got to take it as Sirianni's word that, there was a lot more banged up guys. And the offensive line is where most of the injuries were. So if you're going to rest them, you have to rest everybody. You can't put Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley out there if you have no intention of starting your offensive line. And I think in hindsight, it kind of works out. You have a kind of a wild card in the Green Bay Packers coming in who I guess may have Jordan Love, may not have Jordan Love, you don't really know what product you're going to see. So you might get a good one. With San Francisco, you know what's coming, and you're going to have to beat these teams anyway. So if you don't get a home game in the second round, you just hope you win it and get a home game in the third. So
my one of my coworkers today said that one more week of Kevin Patullo's offense was not going to fix anything anyway. So no point in putting them out there. Mike checking in the comments. Go Oregon. Also Texans by 3.7 million. Yeah, we'll certainly pick those games coming up here. And you kind of touched on it with Green Bay, and we mentioned it with the 49ers, and Steelers banged up, Chargers banged up. There's a lot of teams coming in here who are kind of hurting, and I know national sports media has tried to paint this picture about Josh Allen's opportunity in front of him because no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow. But I think the thing that's exciting about this postseason, if you are a fan of seeing teams that are different, is you don't really know looking at this, like you really don't know who's going to go all the way. Like you know who some of the better teams are, at least performing as we closed out the season. Jacksonville coming in hot, Seattle coming in hot, Denver, New England a bit, teams kind of limping. Houston obviously is one of those teams coming in banged up with some question marks. Green Bay, San Francisco, the Rams have looked a little sloppy as of late. Chargers banged up. But when you look at this picture, Sean, and we're certainly not making any predictions about winners and losers for these games or overall, but do you have a sense of who's going to be standing at the end when you just look at this graphic?
Well, I mean, I would lean a couple of ways. I do think there's a lot up in the air, mostly because, and everybody says that, Josh Allen doesn't have, the old head quarterbacks in there. I mean, he's got one that's like too old in Aaron Rodgers. But Matt Stafford's sitting on the other side of the bracket, kind of in the same boat. Like, if you're looking at like these veteran quarterbacks of the NFC, he's it. Unless you're counting Sam Darnold, because he's been in the league a long time. By the way, now only the fourth quarterback, I believe, to ever win 15 games in back-to-back seasons. The other three, much more decorated. But one of them on the other side, playing for Pittsburgh. Yeah, and it's going to sound like a homer if I say I'd be leaning Philadelphia, only because if that defense is healthy, I don't know how many teams can score against us. So you really don't need a firing offense. And the one thing going for the Eagles' way is that they've shown a tendency to play really well against good teams. And I think you have good teams here, but not great ones. Kind of like you said, there's a lot of parity. And I think when you're playing against good teams in important games, that's kind of what the Eagles' mantra has been for all but a few of the big games they've played. So at least on the right side of this bracket, I would tend to lean our way. Obviously, some would say the Rams or the Seahawks. But there's good defenses everywhere, James. There's defenses everywhere. And that's why it becomes harder is because the defenses are good.
Yeah, and I mean, if we've touched on it a few times throughout this season, that if you're going to have one side of the ball be performing better than the other, you want it to be the defensive side of the ball. Case in point, the Dallas Cowboys, because they had the best in terms of yards per game offense in football. They had the third best in terms of points per game offense in football, and you see where they are. They were sub 500. Back-to-back losing seasons, back-to-back missing the playoffs because their defense was so bad. But you have some teams that, Chicago, Denver at times earlier in the season, New England earlier in the season, teams that kind of struggled to get the offensive side of the ball going, but the defense is what carried them. Houston, that defense carried this team when the offense couldn't do anything. and now they're one of the hottest teams coming in. So yeah, if you have one of your sides of your ball that's going to be performing well, let it be your defense. Let the offense figure it out. Because when you get into these tight games, and that's what some of these are probably going to end up being, that's the side of the ball that you want to have.
So if I could kind of flip the question a little bit, would you agree that it's much easier to answer the question, which of these teams won't win the Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's a bunch of teams here, like go ahead and pick your top 2 that could win the Super Bowl versus your top 2 that won't win the Super Bowl. Much easier to pick the ones that won't.
Much easier. If I had to pick two teams,
now, it's a short list of teams that won't, I think, but
yeah, Pittsburgh and Carolina, like those are easy.
Just boom off the
those
board.
Teams are gone this weekend.
Bye.
Like, at least should be, right? I joked with somebody at work today that like the funny thing is like the Panthers are going to beat the Rams on Saturday afternoon and just completely flip the script on us, because why the hell not? With the way this season has gone.
That's just it. The way the year's going, like, is it out of the realm of possibility to see Carolina just? I mean, because the one thing they have is they are huge. Like their offense and defensive line are enormous, and they can tire you out if they get you in a game that if their script goes well, they can push you around. But man, if you're talking Stafford versus Bryce Young, and that's a tall ask. Devontae Adams should be healthy,
right? Like it looks pretty insurmountable for the Carolina Panthers. But again, this year especially, dumber things have happened.
I will never 100% put Pittsburgh out. Just that team
again, because dumber things have happened. But much easier, I think, to pick who won't be there at the end than who will be.
They're gonna fly that priest to Houston, try to bless the stadium,
right? But speaking of the teams that will be standing at the end, or at least will be standing after this week, Sean, let's begin to try to make sense of the picture. We will start this Saturday afternoon. Let me get the bracket off the screen here. Starting Saturday afternoon, 4:30 Eastern time on Fox. It is the 12-5 Rams. They are a 10.5-point road favorite at the 8-9 Carolina Panthers. You're over under 46.5.
Jeez. All right. Sorry, I've thrown all my notes off my screen. There we go. I guess I don't need many for this game. I mean, 10.5 is a big number, and if that doesn't tell you the disparity in this game, I don't know what does. I would love to take the Panthers in 10.5 points. I would love to do it because in a playoff matchup, there shouldn't be a spread of 10.5 points. However, they're not good. They didn't win half their games. This team doesn't even belong here. No one from that division deserves to be in the playoffs. Not a single one. And that's why I was never happier to see the Atlanta Falcons pull something. The last thing I wanted was Tampa Bay, like, disrupting everything and not getting a winning team out of that division, only to like fall short anyway. That was like NFC South artwork at its finest. Give me the Rams. Give me Devontae Adams. Give me your future NFL MVP for 2025, Matt Stafford, and their mediocre running game somehow. I don't know how that's happening. Kyron Williams on the way out. Give me the Rams all day. I think 2.5, 3 scores somewhere there, and probably enough to push this thing over 46.5. Give me Rams in the over.
Yeah, Blake Corum all of a sudden feels kind of like he's the guy there in LA. Look, if the Rams want to send Kyron Williams to Dallas, I wouldn't hate it. But although Javonte Williams looked very good for the Cowboys this year. I feel like this one should be the easiest pick of the weekend. Like Rams cover over. Good night, Panthers. Thanks for playing. But this year has been stupid. And there's no other way to describe it. So I say the Panthers will cover the 10.5. Somehow they're going to make this thing close because the 2025-2026 NFL season. I will say the over will hit as well, but the Rams will advance to the next round. Then we go Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Prime Video. We get to hear the rambling tones of Al Michaels and belligerent, crappy tones of Kirk Herbstreit. The 9-7-1 Green Bay Packers, they traveled to 11-6. The Chicago Bears, who are 1.5-point home favorite. Your over/under, Sean, is 45.5.
Yeah. Do we have word on Jordan Love? Is he playing? Do we know?
I don't know.
I don't even know the severity of his injury at this point. I assumed he would not be back in the regular season. Let's take a gander here. That would obviously change things.
Earlier today, per CBS Sports, Packers Jordan Love will start this Saturday.
Okay, that's where I thought things were trending, which makes this prediction a lot smarter. Okay, 9-7-1, the team everybody thought the Eagles wanted, and a team that I think the Eagles would have beat. This is a bit of a bully here, right, for the Bears and Packers. I believe they split in the regular season.
I believe, yeah.
And the Packers probably not too happy that they're not the division champions, or at least darn close to it. Bears have had a good run. Caleb Williams has shown he has arrived. He is here to stay. The one thing he's never had to do is endure the pressure of a playoff win, and I'm not sure he's going to get it. I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to take the Packers to beat the Bears in Chicago for the most Chicago result. The most Chicago result a number 2 seed could get you an immediate exit. And yeah, I think with Jordan Love, I think the experience is going to be there. I think,
the Bears still
there
suck.
You go.
The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. They really, 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 really suck. Yes, the Bears still suck.
And don't get me wrong, I love everything the Bears are doing. And, could I see this going the completely other way? Sure, but this one helps my birds. So go Packers. I think in slowing the Bears down and in traditional Green Bay fashion, it's ugly. So I'm going to take the under even at 45.5.
Yeah, look, you're not going to get a lot of pretty football when you're talking about this sort of a matchup on a cold, what I'm sure will be a cold Chicago night on Saturday. I'm going to pull the weather report up for this weekend. But I just look at this Packers team. Let's see, Saturday, rain likely before noon, chance of rain and snow, high near 40, overnight chance of snow, mostly cloudy, low around 25. So it's going to be sloppy. It's going to be ugly. Like, it's everything NFL Films has taught us about what an NFC North matchup.
Perfect recipe for an upset, Jim.
No. Look, under is definitely the play. Like, that's if you're going to go with something,
Nothing is over.
That's what you do for this.
Josh Jacobs.
You play the under. But I look at this Packers team and, you lose Micah Parsons. The defense is banged up. Jordan Love, I get he's playing, but you're probably not going to be 100% after getting concussed and being out a couple of weeks. I think LaFleur may be starting to lose that team a little bit. There's a potential landing spot for a head coach if this game goes sideways on Saturday as well. I think maybe things are wearing a little thin in Green Bay. But look, the Bears, they haven't looked the most inspired the last couple weeks as well. But Ben Johnson, EJ made a great point. Rarely say that, but made a great point Sunday after the Bears lost to Detroit. Ben Johnson looked pissed. And if I'm gonna side with somebody, I've seen this man go shirtless in a Colts celebration in a Chicago locker room. Give me shirtless Ben Johnson and Chicago to pick up the win, cover that 1.5. But the under is the play for sure on Saturday night. Devin has the Bears and the under. Now we move to what is the second highest. If you look at ESPN on their schedule. They'll give you like the resale ticket price. The Bears, the highest for this weekend, but second highest.
They may never see this again, James.
The second highest for this weekend is in Jacksonville. The 12-5 Buffalo Bills. They are 1.5-point road favorites at Jacksonville, 13-4. You're over under 51.5.
Could you imagine if at the start of the year someone told you that the two highest selling ticket prices in the first round of the playoffs would be in Chicago and Jacksonville? These are two cities that within the last 2 years couldn't out a home game. Like Jacksonville puts paper over half their seats just so they can get on TV. Like this is unreal. But it's unreal for a reason because the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing real football all of a sudden.
Sound insane.
It does sound insane, Will Ferrell. Listen, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and more on this in a few minutes as we kind of rank these guys in the playoffs now. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing some of the best football in the league. You know, we talked about, the Indiana Hoosiers riding a winning streak in the college football playoff. This has been an impressive run, and Trevor Lawrence looks like he's arrived as much, if not more so, than Caleb Williams has, and it's been a longer time coming. And I think the weapons he has on the outside are just as good, if not better, than what Chicago has going. I think it's a good comparison because I think it's kind of a running back by committee, mostly Etienne, but there's guys behind him that can play. And they got a real good tight end who's finally healthy here running into the playoffs. And that defense is no slouch. And if you ask me to stack up both sides of the ball against the Buffalo Bills, as much as people are saying if the Bills can't win it without these other quarterbacks in, well, the trouble is other teams have receivers and other teams have defenses that can stop a running game, unlike yours. So I think the running game for the Jaguars gets going against the bad Bills run defense. I think that it opens up lanes for Trevor Lawrence and Jacoby Myers, maybe even some big plays for Brian Thomas. I think the Jaguars not only cover this 1.5 points, I think they win this game handedly. I think the Bills get embarrassed, and I think all of a sudden Sean McDermott, his name comes up as a hot seat candidate. Maybe an offshoot, maybe something happens next year.
This guy gets it.
But he stinks. I don't think the Bills are as good as everyone thinks they are. I would feel bad for Josh Allen. And, of course, he's the wild card here. If Josh Allen wants to win bad enough, he seems to find a way to do it. But I don't think it works in Jacksonville this weekend. Give me the over in a high-scoring game despite the defenses. Jaguars in a rout.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, I've questioned the Buffalo Bills for years, and what looked to be one of the better Bills products, at least on paper, has turned out to be, I think, one of the most fraudulent Bills teams we've seen in the last couple of seasons. Don't let a couple of late season wins fool you. Don't let a couple of wins against a bad Kansas City Chiefs team fool you. Like this team, and it has nothing to do, with teams that aren't there. It's the fact that this Bills team is not good, and it's really, unfortunately for Josh Allen, who's insanely talented, and McDermott, who seems like a pretty good coach. Well, again, yeah, I agree with you. Might be on the outs as well. It's malpractice by the Bills organization to not put the pieces around Josh Allen on that offense. Like, it just year after year, you're like, he's throwing to who? He's handing the ball to who? Like, who?
No one.
Like, who the fuck are these people?
The Bills offense is Josh Allen and James Cook, and that is it.
That's all. And it's a, people talk about, this quarterback had a career wasted. Josh Allen's career is getting wasted a bit in front of our eyes. So, I'm with you. I think Jacksonville routs the Bills, makes easy work of them on a Sunday afternoon, and advances to the other side. And I will go under because I think that Jacksonville defense is going to be swarming and just disrupting Buffalo all over the place. Devin has the Bills in the under, so he's with us on the under, but he thinks the Bills can get it done. I do.
I also thought, I'm like, man, I know you announced like uniform changes ahead of time and stuff, but I thought it'd be real dope if they came out in like, I know it's not a huge change for Jacksonville, but in like a circa Mark Brunell throwback.
Well, they've worn those a couple of times.
I know. I would love to see them.
That would be
game. Get out there, get people hyped up.
Absolutely. All right. Moving to Sunday afternoon, 4:30 Eastern time on Fox. It is the 12-5 San Francisco 49ers. They travel to the 11-6 Philadelphia Eagles, a 4.5-point home favorite. You're over under 44.5.
Yeah, I mean, you can say the Eagles backed into the playoffs if you want to. I mean, they had to win a rough one in Buffalo, and then of course your starters kind of give you that week off. And from what it sounds like, the health is back. It sounds like the defensive front looks fully healthy. Got some injuries still at linebacker, but we'll deal there. Big story: Lane Johnson and a couple pieces of the offensive line that were questionable. All healthy, should arrive at this game without an injury designation, and that is a big win for the Philadelphia Eagles. 49ers, on the other hand, coming in with just a mangled version of the defense they started the year with. Now, I heard that Bethune, the linebacker, he's also out for the year, and that guy's a tackling machine. I don't think it sets up well for the San Francisco 49ers. This is a team that's had to deal with the defensive side of the ball getting banged up, and they've had to rely on points being scored to pull off wins, including the shootout with Chicago. I don't think you're going to get that luxury in Philadelphia, not the way this defense has been playing. I think that the Eagles' running game should be able to get going with that many linebackers and defensive front guys out. The pass rush should do well, even if Williams plays. For the 49ers, he's banged up. I don't think it sets up well for a 49ers run this year. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles here. I think 4.5. While it's probably fair from a Vegas standpoint, I don't think that's going to be a problem here on Sunday. Give me that, and I'm going to take the under on 44.5 just because of the question marks on Philly's offense and the fact that the defense doesn't give up points. I think 44.5 is a tall ask from both of these teams.
Yeah. Again, this is going to kind of the theme almost of the opening weekend is the under, because both defenses are better here. The Eagles' offense inconsistent. The Niners' offense, good God, if you can isolate Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy's, as good as he has been at times, it's inconsistent. The Niners are too banged up.
And I would not be surprised to see Cooper DeJean lined up across from Christian McCaffrey most of the day.
Yeah, the reality is the Niners are too banged up. And as inconsistent as the Eagles have been on the offensive side of the ball, it's not going to matter. Bet the under. Eagles cover. The defending champs advance, and the Niners go away. Devin has the Eagles and the under. Then Sunday night, 8 o'clock on NBC, 8 o'clock Eastern. It is the 11-6 Chargers. Go Chargers. They travel to New England, 14-3 on the year, 3.5-point home favorite. Your over-under is 46.5.
Well, I think unless you're crazy enough to debate a Packers upset, like someone on this podcast did, I think this is the hardest game for me to project. I don't know what the Chargers are bringing. I have no concept of who's healthy, who's not, who's like they've had such a patchwork end of the year here. I don't know what the product's going to look like against the Patriots. And to be honest, we've talked about this before. The Patriots, I don't want to call it a soft schedule, but that kind of lack of top tier teams on the schedule makes you question what you look like against them. So it's very difficult to pick. I'm going to side with the home crowd in New England and probably the weather in New England. And I'm going to side with just the energy that's going to be in that stadium. And I'm going to take the New England Patriots here to cover 3.5. I'm going to take Drake May to have himself a pretty good day, again, against a banged-up defense. But I think the Chargers keep it close and would not be surprised if I was wrong on this pick. I would not touch this one. And at 46.5, to me, this feels like a game that could push over. But I wouldn't touch the over-under on this one either. Just stay away from this game all around. I'll take a slight over just to change things up. But I think at 46 is going to be close.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. But both offenses have the opportunity to break out. Both defenses have been great at times. They've been Swiss cheese-ish.
Well, and they're both opportunistic. These are two defenses that aren't afraid to take one the other way, which can really affect that over-under. So I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah, I would avoid it, for sure. But look, I think out of the first round matchups the Chargers could have had, I think this, besides the Steelers, is the most ideal because the Jaguars look to be as complete of a team as any in football. The Patriots at times have looked suspect, and again, you touched on that light schedule. The AFC East was bad. Some of their other opponents, weak for sure. So I'm not saying they're fraudulent. I'm not saying they're house of cards, but I am saying that there's potential for an upset here. And the Chargers have had a couple of weeks to get healthier. They are not healthy. No team is healthy at this point of the year, but the Chargers are healthier than they've been. Hopefully here in a little bit. So, give me the Chargers on the road to go up, at least cover the 3.5, make it super close. I think they win. I think they advance. I think it will get a little bit over because I think if the Chargers are going to win, their offense and Justin Herbert are going to have to open it up a little bit. I think if you get into a slugfest with Mike Vrabel's Patriots, probably going to be an issue for you. So I will take the over for my Chargers.
I also thought that 46.5 felt like they thought New England was going to pull away and it would be a little one-sided. So with both of us thinking it's going to be a bit of a slobber knocker, I feel like pushing the over is a realistic possibility.
For sure, and I can't.
Who's got it better than us? No.
That's for sure.
Nobody wants to start the work week this week.
The soundboard does not have it better than us.
It does not. It does not. It fails. I tell the soundboard this.
Stop it. Get some help.
But like you said, nobody's healthy this time of year, Jim. Not even the soundboard.
No, that is for sure. Devin has Chargers in the under. And then the last one, which should also probably be a pretty easy one, Monday night, 8 o'clock on ESPN and ABC. The 12-5 Texans are a 3.5-point road favorite at the 10-7 Pittsburgh Steelers. Your lowest resale ticket, if that tells you how Pittsburgh fans feel about their team right now.
Normally they would eat that up.
Normally would, not this week. You're over under 39.5, Sean.
39.5. That's 34 of those are Houston's. Look, congrats, I guess, to the city of Pittsburgh on keeping your mediocre coach for at least one more year. And maybe coaxing Aaron Rodgers to stick around and drag this out even longer. Pittsburgh is not good. They're not. You have an aging defense that's a shell of what it once was. You have a more than aged quarterback, and you have now. I guess you're going to get DK Metcalf back. Good for you. He gets to play against two of the best corners in football. I don't see a lot of outlets that puts Pittsburgh in any semblance of control in this game whatsoever. I don't think they move the ball. I think there's a chance they don't score. Fortunately for them, they have a decent kicker. I guess that could get them some points. But, man, if Pittsburgh got shut out in this game, I would not be surprised. I think the Texans, you talk about those elite defenses and how that's what wins championship. I'm going to take the healthier, younger, faster, stronger defense, and I'm going to take the Houston Texans here to cover 3.5 easily. I would almost, if I was the Texans, I would find that number incredibly insulting, even though it's a road.
Right.
And it's actually
they're basically 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm like, that still feels painfully close. And 39.5. The big fear is that Pittsburgh doesn't score, but a number that low, I can't take under on it. Give me a slight over on 39.5, just based on maybe like some pick sixes. Aaron Rodgers got to be good for at least one. So let's do that.
Rodgers might have more touchdown passes to the Texans than he does to his own team.
But it's still a touchdown pass.
Taking the Neil O'Donnell approach. Devin has Texans in the slight over as well. It's not going to be my lock of the week. I have another one that'll hit on there, but I think the Texans will have more tackles for loss that would include sacks. Then Rodgers has completions, by the way. I think this is going to be just a slaughtering. I think you're going to see a ton of fans dressed as seats by the second half of this game. People are going to be heading out early in Pittsburgh. And I really do think that, despite getting to 10 wins, despite getting back to the postseason, another playoff loss, this time at home in embarrassing fashion, I think is going to be enough to put the Steelers organization over the top and move on from Mike Tomlin, and rightly so. But Texans win easy. Oh my gosh. I'll go slight over as well. I feel like it's a possibility we get the under just because of Pittsburgh not scoring enough points.
It almost feels like Vegas wants you to take the over. Like
right,
that's what it feels. They're like, you won't take the under.
I double talked there.
Which means it'll hit.
Right.
Final score will be 17-3, and everybody will laugh at our faces.
It's a trap.
So again, much like the Chargers Patriots, don't touch the over under. You can bet other parts of this game, don't touch the over under. That's our advice. Take it if you will, but I would stay away from it. And then that is where we will close up.
God, bet the Texans before that number grows. Jesus.
Right, I was going to say, hop on it now before Vegas does start to move it as well, because if that happens, then you're in big trouble. All right, Sean, let's move on to the power rankings here. As we do in the postseason, we do it a little bit differently. We rank the teams that are still playing for a championship. So our top 14 as we enter postseason play. Sean, give us your top 14 teams.
Before I do, I actually just checked it. Texans a 3-point favorite. It actually dropped. Currently a 3-point favorite. Get on it. All right, let's take a look at these. You want me to start at the bottom or the top? Did you say?
Go 14-1. Yeah, we'll start at the
14-1. 14, not a surprise here. The Carolina Panthers, Steelers just barely ahead of them. And then I have the Packers. Despite the fact I'm calling it upset, it's an even greater upset because of where I have these teams. But just based on how they're playing. Then I got the Chargers sitting at 11. Bills rounding out the top 10. 49ers just ahead of them. Then those Texans we just talked about. The Bears sitting at 7. And then I have the Eagles, the Broncos, reluctantly the Broncos at 5. I still don't know what I feel about that.
Oh, the Denver Broncos.
Rams, probably lowballing here at 4, but, F them. And then at the top, Patriots, Seahawks, Jaguars, which if you would have told me that would be my top 3 going into the playoffs, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are.
And what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yeah, nobody would have seen that coming. EJ has from 14-1 Panthers, Steelers, Bears, Packers, 49ers, Bills, Chargers, Texans, Broncos, Jaguars. His top 4, Patriots, Eagles, Rams, and Seahawks. For Mike,
loving the Eagles, I don't like that.
And it's a bold strategy for him. Mike has, again, bottom to top, Steelers, Panthers, Packers, Bears, Bills, Chargers, Niners, Rams, Texans, Eagles, Jaguars, Patriots, Broncos, and Seahawks. And for me, Panthers, Steelers, Packers, 49ers, Bills, Chargers, Texans, Bears, Eagles. And my top 5, Patriots, Jaguars, Rams, Broncos, and Seahawks. So
your and my bottom half is almost identical.
Yeah.
With the exception of the 49ers and the Chargers.
Yeah, we have them flipped.
Spaces,
Yeah, from the Texans on Bears. Actually, from 6 on down.
6 down. Yeah,
we only have
Eagles down, yeah.
That's different.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's clearly the right answer.
Higher.
That's clearly the right answer, mostly.
And the funny thing is, Sean, I had the Jags at 4, the Patriots at 5. So we would almost had the top 4 just with the Jags flip-flopped a bit. I think the Jags are the hottest team. Like, I'm not ready to bite on them being the best team, because The funny thing is, like, none of these teams, with the exception of the Rams that we have in our top fives, are, at least you and me, are battle tested in the postseason.
Here's the thing on the top, and the Broncos kind of fell out here because it's like the Rams. I have question marks a couple places only just because I haven't seen a full product in a while. But like as far as the Patriots, Seahawks, Jaguars, Broncos, those seem to be the four that most of us don't seem to know what to do with. I looked at it as like, okay, Jaguars, Seahawks, Patriots, and Broncos. I've seen all four defenses play at an extremely elite level on any given week. So I can't really gauge. Obviously, I think the Broncos probably have the best of those four,
Right?
Maybe the Seahawks. But I think the Jaguars can play just as well. But when I lined up the quarterbacks of those four teams, I love me some Drake May. I think he's going to do some phenomenal things. But I believe in Trevor Lawrence right now.
He looks really good.
More than I believe in Sam Darnold and Drake May and definitely Bo Nix. Bo Nix has looked stale. He's looked a little lost in the last few starts. Now, given they keep winning despite it. But I just right now, like, maybe it's the hottest team thing, but I just think, going into the playoffs, it's hard for me to pick against Jacksonville right now.
Yeah, they look really well. I struggled to put them anywhere between 3 and 5. Like my top two, right. I feel like you get a bye week, you've earned it. Maybe the Jags will do enough this week. Like maybe they'll obliterate the Bills so bad that I put them up higher. Maybe I don't think the Rams can do anything against the Panthers that can make them move up. Maybe they can move down, but I don't think they can move up for me. Yeah, looking over, and I wish he was here. I haven't really heard from him besides submitting his pick, so I don't know why he's been missing. But I'd love to, and I know it comes back to that, like, who do you trust game, right? Like that.
Right.
Who do you trust?
We jokingly say it, but when you look at EJ's rankings, like you see the Rams up high, you see the Eagles up high. I think that probably kind of falls to that aspect. They are teams that have been here and kind of gone through runs in the playoffs that, New England, Jacksonville, Denver, Houston, like the teams that just haven't. So I can't necessarily fault them for those, but I don't know how you can look at the way these teams have been playing recently, at least in terms of the Eagles, at 3. I think that's probably, just glancing over these rankings, I think that's the wildest of the bunch, is having the Eagles that high.
Yeah, I mean, I somewhat question. I feel like it's one of those games where you're going to have experts picking the other way. They're going to say the 49ers are going to win. I don't know why you would necessarily. I feel like the Eagles are just a lot up in the air about what product you're going to see. But much like your Seahawks and Broncos and those teams that are getting buys and the other teams that are getting picked here, I think football fans like defense in the playoffs, and maybe that's EJ's stand here, because when you look at the top, like his top 6 is like his top 7 is like all defenses. I think that's kind of where we're all at in that top half. It's like the best defenses, right? I almost hate that I have the Texans below the Bears. It's kind of like, I don't know where. Like now that I'm talking up defense, but the Bears defense is not a slouch defense.
Yeah, Bears defense is good. I mean, you disregard an effort a couple of weeks ago. The Bears defense has been a strong unit throughout the course of the year.
Yeah. So,
but like I wonder too, because when I look at yours, I look at mine, I look at Mike's, kind of similar efforts in terms of where teams are to recent weeks in our power rankings. EJ's has the most. But
I think for the most part, if you cut our lists in half and you go top half, bottom half, I think for the most part, all 4 of us have the same teams.
Mike has the Eagles at 5. He has the Rams lower than all.
Mike has a low Rams. You and I have a low Eagles.
Here's the thing: I don't hate that. The Rams have not. The Rams have not looked like the Rams in at least the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, and what baffles me is you can say Devontae. I mean, you can go back halfway through the season, and Kyron Williams looks winded. He looks boring and listless. Like, the running game's not there. Now, can the Rams win without one? Yes.
Especially this week.
Yeah. I think you absolutely can win without a run game. Having Matt Stafford helps a lot. But yeah, it's just.
But the problem there, I'm going to bring the playoff graphic back up here for a minute. So if you're the Rams, because I know the NFL reseeds, like let's say the Eagles, we both kind of feel like the Eagles are going to win. For me, I have the Bears winning. So in the second round, it would be Bears and Eagles. It would be the Rams and the Seahawks. Like, you're not going to beat the Seahawks if you can't run the football.
No.
And then for you, you have the Packers winning and the Eagles winning. So it would be Eagles, Packers, Seahawks, and then Eagles versus the Rams. You're not going to beat the Eagles if you can't run the football. So, like, the Rams got to figure it out quick.
Both those teams, it's not so much you can't beat them if you can't run the football. It's like those are, I mean, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Bears, whether it's the Seahawks, those are not teams that are just going to let you gouge them for free run yards.
Right.
Like, you're going to have to earn them. This isn't the Buffalo Bills here that are just going to open up lanes.
Right.
So I don't I don't see the running game getting better. So they're going to need all those weapons on the outside they can, and they're pretty good ones. But if the Seahawks or the Eagles or whoever can take, even one of your two top wideouts off the table, if they can take either Nakua or Devontae Adams off the table, that game's going to get real hard.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you have a great point there. Like, if you draw a line at 7, we're all very similar. We all have teams in similar spots. A couple of disagreements, but yeah, I think we see where the league is at for the most part as we kick off playoff play this weekend. But we will certainly see how it plays out. Any other thoughts on the power rankings, Sean?
No, I think we've touched on it. I think we're good.
All right, so let's close it up the only way we know how.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
We look ahead to the weekend that will be in the world of football, in the world of sports. Sean, what will happen this weekend?
Well, looking at the slate of games, I mean, I've made a lot of gutsy calls here, and I don't think I need to lock any of them in. What I will lock in will be a somewhat homer pick, but also a interesting one in the Eagles 49ers game. I am going to lock in that Saquon Barkley, Captain Fall Off. Everybody's a big fall off, hugest fall off. What an embarrassing fall off from last year this 1,000-yard rusher has had. Saquon Barkley will have not only more rushing yards than Christian McCaffrey, but also more receiving yards than Christian McCaffrey in an Eagles win in Philadelphia. That's the lock of the week.
There it is. For me, I'm like, there's a lot of things that seem fairly predictable this weekend. So I wanted to go like a little bit bold. And again, you have the bonus one with my Texans tackles for loss, but the Rams against the Panthers will have more defensive touchdowns than Bryce Young will have passing touchdowns.
I like it
this weekend. All right, Sean, let's go ahead. We will close it up for another week. Let them know where they can follow you.
Well, it's playoff week, so you can follow me to any TV I can get my hands on as we go through from Thursday right through Sunday. Or you can just hop on the Twitter. Been sharing some pretty funny stuff. We'll probably be making some funny coach memes and things coming out. So check me out at Sean Shine State, or right here on all of the Huddle Up pod feeds. You can watch me anytime you want there, and even call me out. You don't like what I say, put it in the comments. I'll come find you.
It's easy. Just go ahead and do it. But we got to fuck the Ducks. And I believe that's not the Oregon Ducks. That'll be the Anaheim Ducks.
That'd be the Anaheim. Yeah,
Getting
the Anaheim
pretty chippy in South Philly tonight. Radko Gudas is still Radko Gudas, but
those Disney connected a-holes.
Flyers currently a 4-2 leader with just under 3 to play. So it looks like they probably going to have that thing locked up here. Although we've seen some.
Well, here's hoping. But other way, enjoy the first round of the playoffs, everybody, and make sure you eat healthy, you have whatever drinks you want, but be safe out there and get a ride if you need it.
There you go. Yeah, definitely great advice. Never drink and drive. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter and Blue Sky, but most importantly, follow along with the show. We're at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. You can also get us on Instagram, on TikTok, Twitch, all the social channels. Tell you what. Go into the video side, scan the QR code, top right corner of your screen right now. That'll take you to our link tree and get you everywhere Huddle Up related. Otherwise, if you're in our social media, in the episode description, click it there. That'll get you everywhere you need to be. But hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Our numbers have been growing over there this year, and absolutely love your support and appreciate you for that. Grab some merchandise over on our TeePublic store. Enjoy the opening round of the NFL playoffs. Enjoy the college football invitational semifinals if you will partake. But as always, be smart, be safe, and as always, go for the win.